We're just waiting for him to make his turn, then we're going to go look for ground crews. Yeah, I have enough of him. Yeah, or anywhere. I mean, we can start at the entrance and then move. Yesterday. Not out here. We're coming up on the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Preserve. Environmental Park, sorry. Yeah, if we start there and then spread out, maybe we'll find them. Okay, yeah, yeah. let's get some shots. This looks like where they're based. And then we'll...
Yeah. WFLA Now will begin momentarily. WFLA Now will begin momentarily. Streaming live on WFLA Now, powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY. Here's J.B. Buno.
Eagle 8 HD live over Sarasota County, assisting in the search efforts for Brian Laundrie, the missing 23-year-old and sole person of interest in the disappearance of Gabby Petito. Hey there, folks. JB Buno here with you live on WFLA Now. First and foremost, let me offer my apologies for my voice. It's been a long week of streaming, a long week of coverage here, Evan, on WFLA Now. Being joined here by Evan to bring us the very latest. You've been seeing, of course, Evan this morning on WFLA News Channel 8. Evan, where are we with the latest here as we now have Eagle 8 HD in the sky here over this wooded area of Sarasota County where Brian Laundrie might be?
Beginning day 2 of the search for Brian Laundrie. His family says, reported him missing on Friday, says they haven't seen him since Tuesday when he left the house with hiking gear. They've told authorities they believe this is a possibility of where he might be. Sarasota County's Carlton Reserve, a 25,000-acre preserve that Eagle 8 HD is flying over right now. The search for Brian, of course, is important, not only because he is missing, his family's worried about him, but in the larger context, he is possibly the only one who knows where Gabby Petito is. He has been lawyered up immediately after he returned home several weeks ago without Gabby from their cross-country trip out west. And as you can see here, a large 25,000-acre nature preserve is possibly where he might be, but finding him in there could prove very difficult. For everyone around the country who's waiting to find out where Gabby is and what information he might have about her, that's why this search for him is so important. Because without him, the chances of finding Gabby obviously diminish. And this is the man who was last seen with her, last heard from by her parents when she was with him. So there's a considerable amount of interest in finding Brian Laundrie, not least of which because he is a person of interest in Gabby's disappearance, but also, of course, because he might be able to lead investigators to her. So far, he has been unwilling to do that. He has not spoken very much at all to police, if at all, and of course has gotten a family attorney to do most of the speaking for him since he returned home. Gabby's family last heard from her on August 25th. That is over 3 weeks ago now. She was out west. There were a few texts and posts on social media in the days following, but her mother has said she does not believe those were from Gabby. Obviously, mother's intuition leading her to that. Something tells her that wasn't her daughter. So the last confirmed conversation with Gabby occurred on August 25th, and of course, it is now September 19th. Several weeks ago, Brian returned back to Sarasota County without Gabby in tow. And that, of course, is when people began to wonder and worry about what might be happening to her. As Eagle HD here flies over top of the Sarasota County Preserve, we are trying to zoom in on what's happening down on the ground with some boats there in some bodies of water, it looks like. Obviously, this is real time, folks, so we are seeing it as you are. But the search, obviously, now in day 2 for Brian Laundrie. Officers combed the Sarasota County Reserve yesterday looking for Brian. They did not find him, nor any trace of him, we are told by Northport Police, who is coordinating that effort. And of course, now it is beginning for a second day here with ATVs and other vehicles, other tools that law enforcement are using to try to find him. There's so much interest in this case from around the country because of the different areas that this search has spread. I mean, Gabby is, from the Sarasota County area. They are originally from Long Island, up in New York, of course, near New York City. They were traveling cross country in Wyoming, and they were looking to go to Yellowstone. They were in the Grand Teton National Park. And they were also posting on social media about the van life and how this trip was going. So a lot of people have been following in this and want to know, where is Gabby? That hashtag has been trending for more than a week now. And everyone wants to know where she is, where she might be. And the person who may be able to lead authorities to her, or at least give some clue as to where she might be, is now missing himself.
Yeah, Evan Donovan here, everybody with us late. The latest on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, wherever you're joining us from. Click on the link in the description on this video. It'll take you over to WFLA.com, the WFLA app, where you can read all the latest. We have our hub there for the latest in the search for Gabby Petito and, quite frankly, the search, of course, for Brian Laundrie. Again, engaging a new digital audience. Apologies here for my voice. Not all there after a very long week here, even a day off yesterday. Clearly, I'm not 100%.
Not enough.
Evan is helping. We've also got Paul Lamison in the sky. He's going to be joining us here in just a second. But what I want to do here is take your hashtag HeyJB, and for the few more minutes that we have Evan Donovan, your hashtag HeyEvan comments here in the Facebook Live comment section. How this works is on Facebook Live, if you use hashtag HeyJB or hashtag HeyEvan, that is a way that we can then animate your comment on screen. Of course, we have WFLA Now viewers who have been with us here many, many times before. So a lot of comments already coming in. This is the first time I've seen this question here. And we know, Evan, that there are conspiracy theories abound. We know that there are endless rabbit holes of subreddits and additional threads online as to theories that are out there. But this is an interesting question that I don't think we know the answer to that I'm going to throw up here on screen. The first one here from Samantha, hashtag HeyJB. Is there a life insurance policy on either Gabby Petito or Brian Laundrie? And obviously what Samantha is getting at is, was this financially motivated of a potential crime, if there was a crime in fact committed here? So
I don't think we know the answer to that question. I don't think we do. And even if we did, I don't think we know the answer to that question. My only supposition would be that they're both very young, and likelihood of there being life insurance on them, at least that they had purchased, probably not great. But I have life insurance on my children, so maybe it's something that a parent has taken out on one of them. But we just really don't know, Samantha. I think it would be only speculation to answer that.
All right, let's get to this question here from Garrett. Garrett Meisenheimer joining us here in the Facebook Live comment section. We'll also try to get some Twitter comments going. I know that we're live now on Twitter, live on YouTube, live on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, but on social media, we can take your hashtag HeyJB and hashtag HeyEvan comments here and animate them on screen. Again, Eagle 8 HD in the center of your screen. This is live. The search right now for Brian Laundrie here in a wooded area of Sarasota County here in Florida. Garrett here asking hashtag HeyJB, how many searchers are there in this area at this time? And I know that there are teams that are out there searching right now.
That's right. And Christine McClarty was on the scene all morning long during our morning show. She said that she saw at least 6 ATVs in that area. You're looking at one of them right now. They had multiple vehicles out there, at least a dozen. So in terms of searchers, it was in the dozens yesterday, if not more. I'm trying to get in touch with Christine right here to answer that question for you more specifically, Garrett.
How about this question that just came in here? Lori Albee Thompson here. I was thinking about this yesterday, and I don't know if you've heard, Evan, or if our crews have heard, but hashtag HeyJB, why couldn't we have used heat-seeking equipment to see if he was in the woods last night when everyone was gone? And there is thermal imaging equipment mounted to a lot of police, law enforcement choppers out there. That way that the search doesn't end at sundown, that overnight they can continue looking. I don't know if I've heard if they had thermal imaging searches last night. Evan, did
Haven't
you?
heard yet either, but a good question for law enforcement when we have our next press conference. We certainly will ask.
Yeah, if this is something that's going on 24/7 around the clock, or is this a search that ceases at sundown? Landa Rubio here, hashtag HeyJB, why can't they do a lie detector test on the parents? And first and foremost, they haven't been charged with a crime.
Exactly, neither has Brian.
And neither is Brian. The parents haven't been charged with a crime. Brian hasn't been charged with a crime. And again, that would all have to be completely voluntary at this stage. But on the parents, yeah, they would have to volunteer, and there is no way any legal counsel with a brain would advise against signing up for a lie detector test at this stage in the investigation. Victoria Patrick here, hashtag HJB, no theory, just curious about the passport. We were talking about this a little bit earlier this week on stream, Evan, that if Brian Laundrie wanted to leave Sarasota County, wanted to leave the country, he's a free man, he has the right to do so, provided that he has a passport, he can travel internationally because he's a free man, although police at the time said that they were keeping tabs on him, even though he's missing now. That's what they were saying at the time.
Yeah, I think
we haven't heard
Thursday,
about passport.
We haven't heard about passport. Thursday, there was a press conference, and a chief of Northport Police, I believe, on that day, was asked by a reporter directly, do you know where Brian Laundrie is right now? And they said yes. But obviously, we know on Friday, the family reported him missing and said that they hadn't seen him since Tuesday.
We're looking here, everybody. Let's put away. Victoria, thanks for your comment. We'll come back to some more hashtag HJB, hashtag Hey Evan comments here. But Evan, clearly what we're witnessing here is search efforts ongoing here. ATVs combing through the search area here in rural Sarasota County.
Yeah, this is, again, the Sarasota County's Carlton Reserve, a 25,000-acre nature preserve. And you're looking at it. Some rough terrain in there, some biking trails, hiking trails, and obviously Eagle 8 HD flying over top of it right now, trying to keep tabs on this ATV as it goes. Pretty amphibious ATV here going through land and water, it looks like. Not deep water, but looks like it is out there searching for any clues that might lead them to Brian Laundrie. Again, just to review, his family said that they last saw him on Tuesday. They reported him missing on Friday night. They believe they say he was wearing hiking gear, or had hiking gear with him, and somehow this has led the law enforcement effort to search the Carlton Reserve to find any clues about where he might be. And of course, the main reason why everyone wants to know where he is so that he might possibly answer some questions about where Gabby is. Let's
get to some more of the comments and questions that are coming in here in the Facebook Live comment section. But let's make this also clear too. We're here at WFLA in Tampa. Our transmitter located here closer to us than where it is in Sarasota County. So if you're seeing some glitching here, it's just because of the transmission signal getting momentarily broken up. Again, this is a chopper feeding a live signal back to a transmitter that is then feeding it to us and then distributing it out to wherever you're watching from. So if it glitches here in the center of your screen, that is just because of a brief intermittent breakup in transmission between the chopper and of course our tower here closer to Tampa Bay. But Evan, this shot here speaks to how vast of an area that we're looking in. We forget how in the Tampa Bay area there are massive areas like this that are completely rural without any sign really of civilization based on what we're seeing here. This is a massive preserve here, and it's going to take a considerable amount of time for them to look. And if Brian is out there, we've used the term needle in a haystack, but truly a needle in a haystack sort of scenario here.
I mean, it's hard to get an idea when you talk about this, about what that really means. 25,000 acres, how much land is that really? I mean, I just did the calculation. 25,000 acres is 39 square miles. So that is a significant amount of territory to cover. Obviously, everyone is interested in finding him and making sure that they locate where Brian is. But that is going to be a difficult task in a park this big.
Yeah, and let's also put into perspective here too. What did you say the acreage count was here on
25,000 acres for the Carlton Reserve?
We've been talking about Grand Teton National Park, and I know from saying it enough here on stream that is 220,000 acres. So if you think that this is vast, it's vast out there at Grand Teton in Wyoming.
And we should point out that there's a law enforcement search effort going on out there as well. Some of Gabby's family members were out there, at least they were earlier this week. But we know the FBI is now focusing its search on, I want to make sure that I say it correctly because we were talking about it this morning. Christine McClarty was mentioning it. There is a certain area that they have narrowed down inside of that Grand Teton National Park where they are searching for her. Let me just see if I can pull it up here. Sorry, give me a minute here, and I'll go back
to your thing, Evan. I'm going to take some more questions here in the Facebook Live comment section. In the meantime, let's see here. Let's get to this one here from Cody Martin. Hashtag Hey JB, hashtag Hey Evan. I feel like he could be underground or maybe in a tree as he's always been hiking there. Maybe he made a base in this area. And it's possible that there's an area of this preserve that he's comfortable being in or hiking in. But however, we have no information pertaining to him being in a tree somewhere or if he's trying to hide from helicopters. We don't know. There's so much that we don't know. What do you got, Evan?
Well, so let me just pull this up. And you might be able to find this on my Twitter page, JB. I don't know if you can pull that up. But the FBI in Denver tweeted out last night the area that they were searching for. And I can see it I can see it here on my screen from the video we used this morning. But they've narrowed down their search inside the Grand Teton National Park to this area around Spread Creek Dispersed Camping Area. And they put a circle around this area where they think it's possible that Gabby was last seen or last heard from. And that's where they're now focusing. So you've got FBI, Forest Rangers, Park Service, National Forest Service, local sheriff's offices, and police departments out west in Wyoming looking for Gabby out there at the same time that you have this search going on here for Brian Laundrie. And in the meantime, you've got families spread from Florida to New York pulling their hair out, trying to figure out where their daughter is in just what must be the most emotionally wrecking thing that a parent can possibly go through.
Evan, before we let you go, I know you got to move on here to other assignments. What are you going to be watching for here in the hours ahead? And I want to make this clear here before I have Evan just say some parting words here. I want to make this clear because a lot of commenters here are asking. There's searches going on in Wyoming, searches going on in Utah. What you are looking at here is where we are. Of course, our chopper here at WFLA can't reach Wyoming or Utah, at least not in a short amount of time. Our chopper here is live over Myakkahatchee and over the preserve and where Brian Laundrie might be. So a lot of focus here in Florida pertaining to the search for Brian because Brian could have the clues that would lead us to Gabby Petito. But there are searches going on right now in Wyoming and in Utah, but this one is particularly active here. Evan, what are you going to be watching for here in the hours ahead?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to be looking to see if they might find anything in here that might lead them to a clue about where Brian is. Because, obviously, finding Brian could be the key to finding Gabby. And so there were some people yesterday that reached out to me. They were upset about the fact that there was this massive search going on for Brian, and they were talking about how, sort of echoing what the Petito and Schmidt families were saying about his disappearance, saying that he's not missing, that he fled. We don't disagree with that. I mean, we don't know what happened to him, but the point is he's been reported missing, and the fact that everyone's trying to find him, I think, is really driven by the fact that everyone wants to find Gabby. And so finding Brian seems to be, at least at this moment right now, with what we know, which is not much, the best way to find Gabby, and I think that's what everyone's big goal is.
Evan, where can folks follow you on social media?
At Evan Donovan on Twitter. I'll be following this. Obviously, I primarily cover politics here, but I am the weekend anchor, and I'm always interested in what's happening in our community and what's going on here. And this story, of course, gripping the nation right now.
Of course. All right, let's send. Thank you a lot, Evan. We're going to also introduce here to our team Paul Lamison, who's standing by here for a live report. And let's see if we can bring in Paul. Paul, can you hear me? And what are you finding out there?
Towards the main area, but again, they've been out here, and they really almost have to stay on these guided paths because if you get out into the other part, it's just going to be too wet and just too wide. And so that's what they're doing. You see them out here running this pattern, and as they do that, they're looking on both sides of the area. Again, we're in the Myakkahatchee Environmental Park, and that's where he was last told to be seen. So they're out here searching from the ground and the air. You see again how deep and how wet this area is because of the amount of rain we've had. And these searchers are cutting through. It's a big area here. I'll move out and show you where they're going. I mean, they're just touching a fraction of this area. I'll move in and get on the car, and there you see the person just on the back. And as they go, he's looking to either side to see if they see any noticeable signs or any signs that somebody might have left for them to find. I know when you hike, sometimes to find your way back, you're going to leave a trail and markings as you go. But again, we don't know where he went, where they're looking. I mean, we know where they're looking, but again, I'll move the camera and show you just how wide it is. Look at, and there are little tributaries from the waterways coming off it as well. So it's a tough go for these law enforcement agencies out here doing the search. And this is kind of what they're dealing with. Look at the wetness of this place. And it goes from wet and open into heavily wooded areas. And once you're in that heavily wooded area, even from the air, it's tough to see in it. So again, JB and Evan, I saw you guys were in, but again, this is what we're dealing with. We're out here kind of aiding in the search. We've talked to the aerial people, the sheriff's helicopter that's up, and what they're doing is they're doing a grid search. And what that means, I'll move the camera and show you. If you just look at this whole patch, if you would fly around aimlessly, it would take you a while to find. So a grid search, basically, if you put a piece of graph paper over this whole land and you basically fly up, turn around, fly back, fly up and back, and you would do a grid to cover the huge area. That's what the helicopter that's up is doing. Now the ground crews are doing other stuff. They're following the paths that go through. But now if I move the camera over here and show you, let's pick an area out here, there's really no path. So you could be anywhere out in this area. And again, it goes from this wide open area. And if you move over into here, this is a heavily wooded area. And if you look in here, that's tough to see anything back in this area. And again, it's wet back here too. So for someone hiding, this is an area that would be very easy to hide and very easy to stay hidden. Because for one, the area is so big. For two, it's not a good time of year to be out in this area because of the wetness and the growth. Everything is growing so good and it's so thick and hard to see. Now again, there's also wildlife out here. In most of these ponds there are alligators and snakes and different animals out in this area. So that's another thing the searchers are having to deal with. And again, I'm just going to show you an area that there's a little patch of water, really no path to get to it, but you could walk out here definitely and just get lost. And that's what the searchers are having to deal with. So you do want them on the ground, but you also have them in the air as well. And I know in some areas they have airboats out, but again, it's hard to really get back. It's not like the Everglades where you have long patches of water. These are just little patches of water that are out here. And again, I'll show you one of them. Like here, here's water right here. And so again, we're looking for searchers out in this area, but again, we're having trouble even finding the searchers. And I wanted to show you this shot. You see out in the distance, that's probably a little bit of ways, that's a rain shower. Now when they come through, hang on, I'm listening to the radio. So again, there's a rain shower, and so those are moving through as well, making it just hard out in this area to search. And you can see just a vast area this is. We're out here really just looking to see what we can see. So again, it's a really tough area to search. And we've been searching as we've been flying as well. And again, what we look for is you just look out into this area anything that kind of catches your eye that looks out of the norm is kind of what we look for. So as we're looking, we might look in an area like this, and when we go into the lake area, the water, we'll just see if anything stands out that maybe catches our eye that's a little bit different. But again, you see how hard it is. Nothing really looks too different. Everything's green, brown, and like a muted color, so it's tough to really see anything out here. So that's what we're doing. We're up here, we're flying a pattern as well, and we're looking for searchers, and we're looking for other things that stick out. So JB, it's a tough go out here in this area. So JB, I'll throw it back to you guys, but we'll be up here for a little while longer. I'm going to try to get the Facebook signal. And again, the other trouble is out in this area, the Wi-Fi and the cell service is so bad because we're pretty much out in the middle of nowhere. So it's tough to really find anything and to look for things. So I'll throw it back to you guys. I see you have pictures up on the screen now.
Eagle 8 HD's Paul Lamison here for us live, everybody, on WFLA now, and we'll be bringing Paul back in for our team coverage here soon here, folks. JB Buno here with you live. Again, I have to continuously say this. We're constantly engaging a new digital audience. Apologies for my voice. It was a very long week of streaming here, so people asking if I am sick, people asking if it's COVID related or anything like that. It's just a very hoarse voice from many hours of covering this story here with you on WFLA Now, where there's no commercial breaks. We stream live nonstop, so it's been just a very it's been a lot of consecutive streams here over the course of the week. I think we're going to be bringing in Christine McLarty. Christine is on my feed. Hey, Christine, if you can hear me, throw a thumbs up on your camera. I'll come your way here in just a moment. I do see that we do have a considerable delay here just because we're dealing with a very remote area here. Let's bring in 8 on your sides. Christine McLarty joining us from where this search effort is currently ongoing. Christine, you were on WFLA Now earlier here. What's the latest from where you are as we have Eagle 8 HD in the sky now?
Hey guys, that's right. We've seen Eagle 8 HD flying above, and they've been a big part of this search effort. But as you can see to my right here, this is the entrance of where police and the search efforts have happened here at the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park. Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, that is. Now, this is part of the Carlton Reserve. This is a 200-acre area, part of the reserve, which is a 25,000 acre area. So police have been coming and going all morning. Police, along with sheriffs and FBI, FWC, you name it, a lot of agencies are out here investigating, trying to find Brian. This is where his parents say that he was coming when they last spoke with him on Tuesday. So all morning we've seen ATVs coming and going out of this area. We've seen canines and all sorts of things out here as they continue this search.
Christine, I know that we're looking here at Eagle 8 HD and it's clearly expansive. I mean, we're talking about a massive rural area where you are here. How, based on your conversations with folks, how high are hopes and the confidence level out there that this is going to lead to something here? Again, when we're looking here at such a vast area, it's easy to be overwhelmed with the size of the search area here, but what have you been hearing from folks on the ground?
So officials haven't commented at all on that as far as people that are participating in the search themselves. You can only hope that they would be hopeful to find somebody. Of course, that's why we've seen dozens of people out here geared up with coolers to try to stay hydrated as they continue day 2 of their search. But they haven't been able to answer that specific question for us. We have, however, been able to talk to some people in houses like this one. Now, this is also a residential area. This is a house just behind us here, and there's been a lot of people biking around the area. Now, one biker that we spoke with this this morning, he said that he's not extremely confident that they're going to find anything here. We've heard talk in the neighborhood that they don't think that he was ever here, that there's, there's all kinds of speculation roaming around out there. But of course, that's not what is being thought by law enforcement, because why would they be here? There's dozens of resources that are being poured into this search effort. So that's all I can tell you at this moment.
Christine, what has this been like for you covering this story?
That's a great question, JB. A roller coaster of emotions. With everything that you learn covering this story, there seems to be more questions. Yesterday we were at the house where just the night previous, on Friday night, there was a lot of people there that were screaming profanities and upset, wanting answers about where Gabby was. And it was that very same night, on Friday night, that Brian's parents reported him missing. And then yesterday, the search begins. Yesterday morning when we were at Brian's house, we hear there's tons of law enforcement activity out here at this environmental park. So myself and dozens of other media crews, dozens of other agencies, we all rush over here to find out that now they think that Brian was potentially in here, and now he's missing, and this is day 2 of him missing. So it's just been an emotional roller coaster, and we're trying to figure out as much as we can, as quickly as we can, as is the entire country.
Christine, as far as where we are now in this search and how expansive this search effort now is, there's a lot of folks in the comment section here who are noting that this is a needle in a haystack sort of scenario, and this is going to be many, many hours. And can you just speak to how much resources, how much time, and how high of a priority this is for law enforcement in Sarasota County?
Yeah, absolutely. So just yesterday we spoke with Josh Taylor with Northport Police. He's the spokesman, and we haven't been able to talk with him today. We've been trying to get in touch with him. But yesterday he said that they had 50 people, at least 50 people out here. Again, multiple agencies. As in addition to police, there's also sheriffs, Florida Fish and Wildlife, and FBI, just a lot of different agencies that are trying to help and play a part in this. As far as the amount of land that they have to cover, I mean, it really is vast. The parents of Brian said that they last saw him leave their house on Tuesday with a hiking bag, and he said that he was coming here. They aren't able to give us an exact deadline of when they came to find his car, but then we were told yesterday by police that the parents came. It could have been Wednesday, Thursday, we're just not sure, but they came here to this part of the park. Now again, this is a 25,000 acre reserve, but this park in particular is 200 acres. So the police say that the parents came here, found his car, took his car home, and then didn't report to police until Friday night that their son was missing. So, that they said that police said that this is the initial point that they were going to look, but this vast area, I mean, there's 25,000 acres, and from people that we've talked about in this area, there are just up the road here, there's tons of lakes and alligators, and it's a lot of swampland and a lot of wooded areas. I mean, I can only imagine the difficulty that these rescue teams and search teams are, that they're trying to navigate as they go through this.
8 on your sides, Christine McLarty here with us, folks, with Eagle 8 HD in the center of our screen. We've got Christine down there, and there's a considerable delay here, obviously, Christine, because of our equipment. You're being, of course, in such a remote area. I'm sure that my hoarse voice from all of our streaming coverage this week isn't helping as far as you being able to hear me and your earpiece. We're going to get to some more of your hashtag HeyJB comments here. Hey, YouTube, I see you. Twitter, I see you guys. Hey, Facebook, a lot of comments in the queue here. You can use hashtag HeyJB. We're coming your way here for some more comments and questions here momentarily. But Christine, before we let you go, is there any word, there's a lot of folks asking, any word on any media alerts, any press conferences, anything scheduled over the course of today that we can at least let our audience here know about to say, hey, this might be coming your way at 2 o'clock or 5 o'clock, anything that you've heard there on the ground?
We've reached out, and at this time there's no official word of when an official word will be coming. I wish I could say otherwise, but no, at this moment we don't have any specific time for you.
All right, and what are you going to be doing here in the hours ahead, Christine, before we let you go?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can see our storm tracker car is just over here. That's where we've been since 4 o'clock this morning. Yesterday we were out here between here and Brian Laundrie's home, where his parents are as well. We were out there for 15 hours yesterday, and today we've been here since 4 this morning. So we just continually trying to tweet and Facebook and gather more information, talking to any law enforcement that is willing to speak with us, talking to neighbors here, and just trying to learn as much information as we can here on the ground as Eagle 8 HD keeps circling overhead. And I know it's a group effort, of course. Law enforcement is out there, and dozens of people, lots of people that are searching for him as millions of people are wondering, where is Brian Laundrie? And
one more thing, Christine, before we let you go, I know you got to get going here. Really quick, just because a lot of comments just came through in a bunch really quickly there, asking about canines. Have you seen dogs, and how many dogs have you seen? Are canines part of this search effort?
Yeah, absolutely. Canines and bloodhounds, those are both resources that Northport Police says that are being utilized because, I mean, again, take a look at this dense wooded area. They said that was actually a major reason that the media is being staged out here, because they didn't want our scents. They didn't want to throw off the dogs. So they didn't want to mess up any part of the investigation, as same here. We don't want to either. So the dogs are going to be an integral part of this investigation. All we know right now is that there are canines and bloodhounds being used. With my own eyes, yesterday I saw about 6, and I've heard of some other people here on scene that have seen a couple today, just 2 or 3. But I think that there are multiple search areas. This is where the media is being staged. This is where we're asked to come. But again, this is a 25,000 acre park. So there's obviously a lot of dogs that could be in there roaming in the wooded areas.
Christine McLarty reporting for us, folks. Follow her on social media. She's there at the reserve, and she has the very latest there for you. Christine, we'll look for you tonight on WFLA News Channel 8. Thanks so much for being with us. All right, back here, folks, everybody, live here on WFLA Now, and Christine, of course, doing a phenomenal job out there. Let's get to some more, and you can see here that Amanda's comments here in the Facebook Live comment section, #KJB, have any kind of canines picked up any type of scent from Brian out there. We don't know if they've picked up any kind of scent, but we do know from Christine's reporting there that she is... She's at the scene, and she's hearing the canines and bloodhounds are, of course, part of the investigation and the search efforts here. Let's get to some more of the comments that are coming in. A lot have been pouring in over the last several minutes as we've been hearing from Paul Lamison. And of course, Paul Lamison is for us. He's the one providing all of the aerial coverage here in our chopper, our chief photographer here at WFLA News Channel 8. I'm sorry for repeating this. A lot of commenters asking about my voice. I am not sick. It's just a hoarse voice from a lot of doing exactly what we're doing right now, a lot of online streaming. So to the commenters that have expressed concern, I'm very touched by that. We're going to kind of keep things focused here on the matter at hand, the subject matter. And I'm really sorry that you got to deal with somebody with a scratchy voice, but I'm going to do my very best here to read through as many of the questions and comments that are coming in here, everybody, on social media. And that way we can answer some stuff and give you some comfort based on all of the information that is out there right now and providing you with that information. Let's get to some of the ones that have come in here in the last several minutes. Oh my goodness. All right. So we this question, I want to preface this. We addressed this earlier in the week. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that are out there. This one is among them. And so I want to just, you have to take this with a grain of salt, because this one is out there and this theory has been out there, but this is being asked in the form of a question. We're not going to animate conspiracy theories on screen, but this one's being asked as a question. So I'm going to put it up on screen as a question, but as a reminder, there's no evidence to this being anywhere close to being reality. But Leslie and Jason here asking, #KJB, does anyone else believe that this is being staged by them for publicity? This is what they wanted to happen, famous real quick. Okay, we talked about their YouTube blog. We've talked about their social media accounts skyrocketing with audience. And while And while it wouldn't be the first time that somebody has done something extreme to gain more social media followers, that is the norm these days. People doing TikTok challenges and viral challenges, anything to get on the radar, get on the map, get somebody's attention, and to, fall down a very, very tall hill of retweets, shares, and social media activity. But where we are, I'm just going to share my perspective on this, with how far this has accelerated, with how fast this is accelerated, with how large of a story this is. I think that we crossed that line a long time ago. I do. Being staged for publicity. Now you could make the argument this is all right now. There's no crime being committed, so Brian could emerge here at any point, not be charged with a crime. Gabby could emerge here. Of course, we would all shout to the heavens, "Thank you," and she wouldn't be charged with a crime. And they would leave this scenario. In theory, they would leave all of this. The news cameras would go away, and they would have hundreds of thousands of more followers on social media. Now, I would hope that at that point, that anybody that was doing this to gain a social media following, that people would jump off that bandwagon really quickly and unfollow here, so that it doesn't, that scheme, if you will, isn't successful. However, we again, back to reality here. We've been on this train for way too long for that, in my opinion here, and I'm speaking for me, for that to be a plausible scenario here, or a plausible outcome for this story. All right, let's get to this. Another one of our biggest questions and comments here. Let me explain this, because this is so crucially important. Elizabeth Keenan, #HJB. Are they currently searching for Gabby as well? All I hear is Brian this and Brian that. Okay, so let me explain for WFLA. We're here in the Tampa Bay area. Brian Laundrie was here this week, leaving Tuesday in hiking gear. That's on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. All the latest developments, our hub on the search for Gabby Petito here. Everything that we have at your disposal here, folks, is on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. But back to, are they searching the area for Gabby as well? Of course. Everyone's on the lookout in Utah and Wyoming. Alerts have been sent out. The problem is that area makes this area look like your neighborhood playground. This area here is tiny compared to the national parks in Wyoming and in Utah and in Northern California. So we have a starting point with Brian Laundrie. We kind of maybe have a starting point with Gabby Petito. We have an idea, a very loose idea with Gabby Petito. And that could be we don't know where Gabby is, and we're talking about searching national parks across multiple states versus Brian, who likely has information pertaining to Gabby's whereabouts, and we're searching one area that is a fraction of the size of just Grand Teton National Park, let alone Yellowstone or Yosemite. So we're here at WFLA right now focusing on this Brian Laundrie search because there's an active search that's currently underway. You see crews here on the ground. They're fanning out. They're looking for Brian Laundrie because they're hoping that if they find Brian, it's one step closer to finding Gabby. But that's also because of proximity. WFLA, we're in the Tampa Bay area. We cover Tampa Bay. Our chopper can reach all over Tampa Bay, so we're covering the story. We can't really send our helicopter here over to Wyoming or Utah here. We have news stations, of course, that are closer, way closer, sister stations of ours that are way closer to Wyoming and Utah than we are. So our resources here are committed to Florida, covering the Brian Laundrie aspect of the story. And we have our sister stations in Wyoming and Utah that are covering the search for Gabby Petito in that area. Elizabeth, big thanks for your question, though, and I'm happy I was able to kind of explain that here for our viewers. Eagle 8 HD right now, they've got their camera up in an upright position here as they continue to kind of monitor the action on the ground here. They will be positioning their camera here again eventually here, I believe. And I think that fueling also as well. I'm going to pass along a note here to our team, just getting a fuel update here on Eagle 8 HD as well. Again, that's our chopper here at WFLA News Channel 8. William Medina. Hey, William. Love your profile picture there, William. Hashtag HAB. Could he have gotten in someone's car or hitchhiked? Okay, let's talk about that. Hitchhiking has been a concept that has been talked about here with Brian Laundrie. So we have, of course, police have the information that he left the home with hiking gear on Tuesday, and he's hiking. Now, is it possible that he hitchhiked his way out of the area, knowing that likely at some point, police were going to be combing through Sarasota County looking for him in areas like the one that you're looking at here on the right side of your screen? Of course. But everyone is looking for Brian Laundrie. Everyone is looking for him, that man right there. They're on Reddit, on TikTok, and there's a lot of great contributors there as well. Listen, there's tons of misinformation on places like Reddit and TikTok, and information that doesn't add up at the end, information that's quickly disproven. But there's a lot of goodwill out there on TikTok and on Reddit. And I want to just take a moment to give a shout out to those that are just trying to make a difference here and trying to help, because they are. And while there is a lot of erroneous information that makes it harder for the real information to come to light, the people that are out there trying to do good, just a big shout out to them for a moment. Everyone's looking for Brian Laundrie. On Reddit and on TikTok, there are comparisons of his face with a full beard, with a groomed beard, with scruff, clean shaven. All of his different faces being plastered all over social media to say, look out for this man, this man, this man, this man, or this man with this look, this look, or this look. And everyone in the world, or at least everyone in our section of Tampa Bay, I can speak for Tampa Bay, our area of Central Florida, knows Brian's face by now. And if they saw him hitchhiking with his thumb on the side of the road, that would be suspicious. And if you did pick him up, what are the odds that the person that picks him up doesn't know him at this stage of where we are? Probably pretty slim. So let me frame it this way. Would Brian Laundrie hitchhike right now? Would he trust a stranger to pick him up and not report it to police? Would he put himself on the side of a road, his face with a thumb out? Anytime that I see somebody on the side of the road with a thumb out, I just, I don't pick up hitchhikers, but I see, and it's kind of a curious stare for a second, like, oh, there's a hitchhiker. But imagine all the cars that would pass and be like, hey, that's strange, that's odd, that's bizarre. Aren't we near Northport? You see where I'm going with this. Would Brian Laundrie hitchhike right now? Audrey, hashtag KJB, go get some rest. I want to. I can't. So the truth is that I'm here to help. And again, a lot of people here. I'm very touched. Linda, I see your comment that just came in. A lot of commenters here that are commenting about my voice. I'm not sick. I don't have COVID. Okay. I don't have any symptoms. The only symptom is a hoarse voice from a lot of online coverage. So we'll get back to Gabby and Brian here. There's a lot of commenters still who are being very, very kind here, but I am here because I want to be. I was tweeting last night to give my voice some rest, and then Joseph Petito, Gabby's father, tweeted underneath me, and I just felt this responsibility to come in today and provide it. There were a lot of people asking, when are we going to be back on stream? When are we going to do something? And so I just wanted to be back here as soon as possible and help out in any way that I can. Jackie Marie, hashtag HJB, are the parents still home, or are they going to disappear too? We haven't received an update on the Laundrie parents. However, in that interview, if you were with us on Friday night, I had Josh Taylor, spokesperson for Northport Police. A big thank you to Josh for coming on in that night when this story had completely turned 180 degrees around because Josh came on the air and said, we don't know where Brian is, and was able to answer some questions here for us and provide us with some context. And one of the questions that I was able to ask him during that interview, and it's all over social media, Oh yeah. Okay. So Eagle 8 HD is getting fuel. Back up with Eagle 8 HD in a moment. I just got that update. But one of the questions I was able to ask Josh Taylor was, are the parents cooperating? And he said that they are cooperating to a certain respect. And hey, I want to see if I can bring up that moment of it so I don't misquote him here. You know what? I'll have that for you here in a little bit. It'll take me some time to find that exact moment and replay that. But there is of course, they're cooperating. They're the ones that contacted the attorney. There is, of course, cooperation at play here. They're the ones who contacted the attorney and said, we don't know where he is. So there have been millions or maybe not millions, but a countless number of social media theories out there that specifically are about the parents, and not going down that rabbit hole. Right now, everything's focused on the search for Gabby and the search for Brian, and hopefully that the search for Brian assists in the search for Gabby. So are they still home? Don't know. And they're not being tracked. You know, as Josh Taylor noted in that interview, Brian wasn't being tracked. I want to make that clear. Brian wasn't being tracked. Josh said that in the interview because he's a person of interest and he's not necessarily he hasn't been labeled a suspect yet. He's not wanted. So they weren't actively tracking him. So they're not actively tracking Brian as of this week, excuse me. Then why would they be actively tracking the parents? Now, maybe the things have changed, so it's very, very possible. This new wrinkle of Brian going missing could absolutely change around the dynamic of this investigation, and they're now keeping closer tabs on the parents. But as of right now, clearly the priority in Sarasota County is keeping tabs on or monitoring where Brian Laundrie could be. But again, I want to make that clear, and maybe you guys can comment here, and I know that this was a major source of frustration, but Josh Taylor in that interview said we're not tracking Brian. He's a person, he's not wanted. So, that was a source of frustration because there are so many people that are frustrated with where we are now in this investigation. Levitica. Or is it Levitica or La Vidica? I know. I shouldn't have the job that I have. I'm bad at pronouncing names. Miss Glass. How about that? Miss Glass. #HAB has neighbors or neighborhoods checked their home security camera footage since September 1st. I can't speak for the neighbors in any other sense than this one. They're tired of this. The neighbors in the Laundrie neighborhood, they want this to end. So I would, I'll speak for myself here. If I had a house in that neighborhood and I had a Ring doorbell camera or security cameras outside of my house, the ones that, connect to Wi-Fi and then you have the app on your phone. Yeah, I'd be looking through it to see if there was any suspicious activity in the middle of the night. You get alerts for when, your cameras detect movement on the camera. And if it was like 3 a.m. and I got a push alert on my phone that my backyard camera picked up some activity, probably a raccoon, but I'm checking. If I'm in that neighborhood at this stage of where we are right now, I'm checking that push alert to see what that movement was, to see if it's Brian Laundrie or to see if it's somebody who matches that description. So I don't know, Ms. Glass, if it's if neighbors or neighborhoods have checked their home security camera footage. I can just say that I can imagine that they are, because they want this to be over. They are sick of this. Live in a very quaint community of Sarasota County, Florida, and they are now the media capital of the world in a way, or at least the media capital of this country, because every camera has descended on this area. Let's make that clear too. Wyoming, Utah, Moab. These are areas that very, very sparse, and there's a lot of media spread out over that area. But here in Florida, all of that traffic, all of that media news traffic is honed in on Northport. They're all there. it's been I'll quote Josh Taylor again from the interview, I believe he said either a media zoo or a media circus, but in essence, that's what he was describing as what it's been like for the Northport community and the Northport Police Department this week. So let's get to some more comments that are coming in here in the Facebook Live comment section. I think hopefully my voice isn't getting worse. Let's see here. Try to get to some more comments that are coming in here. Wow, YouTube, you guys are hello to YouTube. Hello. JB Buno, WFLA now. And you guys are difficult because comment moderation here. And I know that there are ways to slow down those comments, but even so, they're coming in so dramatically fast. And I appreciate a lot of the comments that are coming in. And I'll try to read a couple here just from YouTube really, really, really quickly. Checking. Wow. Slow down. Yeah, just people commenting. Okay, I see a lot of Nathaniel, Helen, Auntie T. Hello, Auntie T. Elizabeth Gregory, L12, Wasabi. Definitely, Facebook, we usually have first and last names. Here we have names like Wasabi and K-Real and White Wolf. I'm seeing a lot of comments on YouTube saying, well, the YouTube comments are, I think, a little bit more pointed towards what the opinion right now, the online opinion of Brian Laundrie. But I'll just speak to a lot of commenters here as well. I'll sum up Lisa's comment. Lisa Day Renard on YouTube. Brian is going to turn up. Eventually, the question is, where is Gabby Petito? I'd be very curious to hear from you. And I've talked with family members. I've talked with friends. And when I go home the last several nights, it's really just my wife and I try to cook, try to take our minds off of things. But when I have my phone going off at every moment, and it's hard to unplug with a story like this because you have to keep your phone on. If I get a phone call in a moment, I have to rush into the station and be here for breaking news coverage. However, it's a lot of the phone calls and text messages are from friends and family, and sharing this or sharing that. And Brian Laundrie right now. Let me ask you folks this question. Maybe we'll take some more #HJB comments here in a moment. Do you think that the only way to find Gabby is to find Brian? I'll repeat that. Do you think that at this stage of where we are, the time is we just turned over to noon. Eagle 8 HD will be back in the air here eventually to continue the search. But noon here, September 19th, 2021, or football kicks off here in an hour and everybody turns on their television screens to watch the afternoon games of football. Let me ask you this. Do you feel that the only plausible scenario, the only way to find Gabby Petito is to find Brian first? I'm going to start looking for #HeyJB comments here in the Facebook Live comment section. I'll be back in 30 seconds as I add some more comments here. So right now, folks, punch in your #HeyJB comments here. I'm going to give my voice. I'm going to give my voice about a 90-second break. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to read through some of the comments that are coming in here. Use #HeyJB to get my attention here, and then we can animate your comment on screen. If you don't want your comment animated on screen, don't use the hashtag, and then, of course, we'll move on to the next comment in the queue. Just use #HeyJB if you want to get my attention here. We'll come back in 90 seconds with some more of those questions and comments here. Again, on the latest on the search for Gabby Petito on WFLA.com, the WFLA app.
Streaming live on WFLA Now. Powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY. Here's JB Buno.
The search for Brian, the search for Gabby. Multiple states now involved here in the search for the couple that is individually missing here in the United States as the family of Gabby Petito continues to plead for help from the public to share out this image in the hopes of finding Gabby alive. Hey there, folks. JB Buno here with you live on WFLA Now. As promised, a brief break here to give my voice a little bit of a break. Been many, many days of online streaming coverage here. It's a little bit different here online. Online, we can be here with you live and stream in places like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Hello to everybody joining us on social media on those particular platforms. A special hello to all of you joining us on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. That's where we have our hub here, folks, as far as all the latest information on the search for Gabby Petito. So if you want updates, you can download the WFLA app. You can download, you can visit WFLA.com, and all of the information is going to be posted there, up-to-the-minute information as far as the search for Gabby Petito and the search for Brian Laundrie. If you're just joining us here, folks, we've been taking your hashtag HeyJB comments here in the Facebook Live comment section. It's what we do here on WFLA Now. Big part of our operation here is to feature what you have to say. And while there's a lot of folks out there, there's a lot of people looking to have their moment as far as creating misinformation online, and we're going to do our very best. Our commitment here to you is to stay rooted in reality and feature comments that are going to help us continue the conversation moving forward. Objective conversations here that we can have and address what is possible, what isn't possible, what is being said, what isn't being said, what is being reported, what is not being reported. So that's what we can do here, and we do it without commercial breaks, which is why you're hearing a little bit of a hoarse voice here. It's been many, many days here of streaming. So for our new digital audience that just joined us, apologies, I'm not sick. It's just been a many, many long days here, and despite being told to stay home, couldn't do it. I'm sorry, couldn't do it. I was sitting on my couch and felt like when I knew that Eagle 8 HD was going to be in the sky above the search area, I just wanted to be part of the conversation and talk to folks. So you have a little bit of a hoarse voice that you have to listen to, and my sincere apologies for that. As far as Eagle 8 HD, it's grounded at the moment. They are refueling literally at the second. Fuel being pumped into Eagle 8 HD, our news chopper, and it's going to be continuously searching here over the next several hours to assist law enforcement looking over the search area, trying to find anything out there that connects us to Gabby Petito's disappearance through Brian Laundrie's disappearance. And that's where we are right now in this story. So what we're going to do here, folks, we asked you before the break there to give my voice a little bit of a rest, and we asked you as we were just getting some more comments from all of our social media platforms here, we asked you this fundamental question to our audience. Do you believe the only way to find Gabby Petito is to find Brian Laundrie first? And here's some of the questions that some of the answers that we can feature. Again, use hashtag HeyJB and we can feature your comments here on screen via social media. Jasmine Swope, or Swopey, or let's just say Jasmine. Hello, Jasmine. Hashtag HeyJB. Not the only way to find her, but definitely a huge proponent of finding her. And I think that we start with this comment here specifically because I think this sums up a lot of what people are saying here. And when I asked for responses to that question, it's not the only way to find Gabby. There's other ways perhaps to find Gabby, but definitely a huge proponent of finding her is what Jasmine is saying here. Christina Tolbert, hashtag JB, are police going to give any update today as far as the search? We asked Christine McLarty. She's at Myakkahatchee, the reserve there, where the staging area for the media is for the story. Again, in Florida, where we are. And at this time, there's no scheduled press conferences, releases. Right now, I think that the focus is, instead of just constantly keeping the press updated with information, we're at a stage now where them taking a bit of a break from talking to the press and focusing more on the search efforts is completely warranted. And so, and quite frankly, that's okay by us. Northport Police, they were watching the other night. If you're watching right now, first and foremost, thank you for all of your hard work. Thank you for what you are doing. We don't need updates as much as we need results. I think I speak for everybody out there. So Josh Taylor, again, really phenomenal as far as calling in to WFLA Now a couple of nights ago. Really thank you to Josh, and a huge thank you to Northport Police. It was a night filled with a lot of critical commentary. And my job here at WFLA Now is to give voice to you. And you were upset. People were outraged. People were frustrated when it came to Brian Laundrie being confirmed missing on Friday night. And I tried to sum up some of those comments here because I can't say the F words and all of the inappropriate language that comes through sometimes when I read through your comments. I can't animate that on screen. That's just not what we do here. We have to keep it clean for air. So I was summing up some of the comments there, and they were extraordinary. Some of them extraordinarily critical of Northport Police, and not just North. Let's just not just single. It's a lot of people that were critical of the FBI too. Just on the handling of this case, there was a lot of very critical comments that got the attention of Northport Police as we were reading through some of the feedback that we were receiving here, as, again, my job is here on WFLA Now, and then that's when Josh Taylor called in and we asked him some questions, and again, that full interview is on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. So, but that's what we do here. My job is to give a voice to you, and if I can't feature your comment on screen, I'm going to read through 10 comments and tell you what people are trying to say out there and pertaining to a news story. And we don't just do it for Gabby Petito. WFLA Now, we do it for every significant news story here that affects you here in the Tampa Bay area. WFLA, of course, being a NBC news station that serves the Tampa Bay area here on the Gulf Coast side of Florida. Anna Marie, pedophile, #HAB. 100%, I think without him, finding her is going to be extremely difficult. I think that, again, that sums up. You're right on board here, Anna, with Jasmine's comment here previously saying not the only way to find her, but definitely a huge proponent of finding her. Yeah, also monitoring on WFLA.com too, Tropical Storm Peter. We'll see where that goes. All right, folks, that was the alert that we just sent out a moment ago. Alec Hammond here, #HeyJB. We appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you. Again, for those of you just joining us, hoarse voice because of a long week of streaming. But back to the comments at hand. #HeyJB from Tamisha Towsey. Do you think once they find him that they will hold him in an interrogation room till he provides information? My voice is cracking there because let me explain why my voice is cracking a bit there, because I'm trying to read this with the attention that it deserves, in a way that it commands the attention that this question deserves. I asked Josh Taylor, spokesperson for Northport Police, what happens when you find Brian? What happens if he's out there? And I hit the sound effect here. I do this on our other WFLA Now streams. We're going to pretend time here for a moment. And again, pretend. So don't clip this on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter without this being, again, this is for pretend here, a hypothetical. If they find Brian Laundrie hanging out in the woods, sitting by a campfire, eating s'mores, if he's just out there, says, hey guys, what's going on? And the officers come up to him and say, hey, what's going on? Are you Brian Laundrie? And Brian responds and says, yeah, I'm Brian Laundrie. You want a s'more? Just sitting out by a campfire and just hanging out in the woods. Well, what can they do? What can that officer who finds Brian Laundrie do? He can radio in, say, hey, I found him. Now what? The answer to that question is not very much. He's a missing person, not a suspect. To Tamisha's comment here, do you think that once they find him, that they'll be able to hold him in an interrogation room until he provides information? Absolutely not. He is a person of interest in Gabby Petito's disappearance, but he's not wanted for any crime. So back to the pretend scenario here for a second. If if an officer finds Brian in the woods and says, hey, kick up a chair, you want to join me for this campfire? Well, you wouldn't, listen, you wouldn't have a campfire. It's still hot here in Florida, so maybe the campfire idea is way off base here. But if he's just sitting out in the woods, hanging out, fishing, regardless, if they find him, he's a missing persons, and then it becomes, hey, Brian, Mr. Laundrie, you are the subject of a missing persons case. Your parents do not know where you are. We would like to bring you home. Josh Taylor in the interview said that I asked him, what would you do if you found Brian? And he said, he's a missing persons. I would bring him back home to his mom and dad's. So for everyone that is commenting at me and saying they're going to find Brian and then it's immediately going to bring us closer to finding Gabby, we hope. That's the hope. But right now, if they bring in Brian Laundrie, if they find Brian Laundrie, they can't bring him in for questioning until he's charged or until he volunteers. Okay, so back to the scenario where if they find Brian and Brian says, "Oh yeah, I've been out here in the woods. My phone, I lost cell service, and I've just been enjoying a hiking trip." I think the officers would be like, "Are you serious?" But again, protocol. We have to focus on protocol and the law here. He's a missing person. So they would say, all right, we got to bring you home. And he's going to say, well, I'm a 23-year-old adult. I'm not missing. I'm just on a hiking trip. Please tell my mom and my dad that I am not missing. I'm just hiking and I'll be home on Monday. And he can go about his merry way. Or he says, and again, hey, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, hypothetical here. We're not reporting any of this. This is all purely hypothetical. If he says, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I'll take the ride home. I'm done camping anyway. Bring me home. Now, Josh Taylor was making it sound like, yeah, we're going to try to ask him questions. We're going to try to get him to speak on this. But remember, through Brian's attorney, through the legal advice that he was provided with, he has invoked his constitutional right to remain silent. So police can prod him with questions on that car ride in this scenario, but he doesn't have to answer them because he's invoking his constitutional right to remain silent. When your Miranda rights, when somebody finds you, and again, this is your rights, and this is again in a scenario where someone's being arrested, anything that you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to remain silent. So Brian, if he's picked up, he can get a free car ride from the reserve here and be taken back home and remain silent the entire time. And then we're back to where we were earlier this week with Brian just being at that house in Northport, Florida. So it's a long response here. And that was the reason that my voice cracked, was because I just wanted to explain that for people, that finding Brian doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be able to, put him in an interrogation room, shine that top-down light on him, bring in good cop, bad cop, and be able to try to get information from him. You can't bring him in. He would have to volunteer to do that. And at this stage, there's no indication that he would volunteer for such a line of questioning. So, Tamisha, thanks for your comment. It was a good opportunity here for us to explain that scenario here. Karen Browning here, hashtag JB. I think it's very possible to find Gabby without finding Brian. And then the prayers emoji. And of course, all of us sending prayers here. A lot of prayers, comments that I've seen come through in the Facebook Live comment section. And I like Karen's comment here because it's hopeful, and it's hopeful, and it really, this is the type of empowering comment for those folks in Utah and Wyoming that are searching for Gabby, because the Petito family has played the scenario out and have told the scenario they feel that it's possible that Gabby is out, that is disoriented and out in the wilderness in Utah or Wyoming and doesn't know where she is and needs help. Now every day that progresses forward, that becomes more difficult of a scenario to envision, but it's one that's the Petito family is holding out onto, and I think that a lot of our commenters here as well are also holding out hope that that Gabby's found alive. I see fewer and fewer comments of that sort, but as the days go on here. But I appreciate the hope that is out there in the comment section. Michelle Chavarin, hashtag HeyJB. Yes, I think that if he is caught and realizes he can't run any longer, he will most likely speak. I also think, regardless, the search for her must continue. All right, so Michelle here is thinking that if he is found by Florida authorities here, somewhere wandering the wilderness here, and again, Eagle 8 HD is our chopper. We originally went live to show you some of the areas that Eagle 8 HD was searching, and Eagle 8 HD, of course, has been talking to authorities over the radio, and it's not like all of the choppers that are covering the area are, pooled in one spot. The choppers and crews are fanning out to cover as much ground as possible, as you would have in a grid-oriented search, but we'll get back to the search efforts here once Eagle refuels. And I think they're about to take off here momentarily. But Michelle is saying if Brian Laundrie were to be found today, that he realizes he can't run any longer, he will most likely speak. Let's focus on that. He can't, well, can he run? Yeah. He can run. Now, Michelle's saying that he's, if he's caught, he's going to realize he can't run any longer. But if he is found here, and again, he's the subject of a missing persons case, if he is found, he can go home, get that car ride back to his mom and dad's, and he can be at Disney World tomorrow. The way that things stand right now. Because he's a missing persons case, and he's not a suspect, he's not wanted for a crime, and he's invoked his constitutional right to remain silent. So if he's found and if he's brought home and he returns home, we were talking about this earlier on stream, we're talking semantics here, the law. He can book a flight. He can get in his car and drive away. He can go to a friend's house in another section of Florida. He can go to a family member's house in another area of the country. He's a free man. He can go to Disney World. Actually, he's not going to do that. Right? But he can run. Now, but see, run implies, let's talk about the word run, because people have been saying that he's on the run. Now, Gabby Petito's family's attorney has been saying Gabby is missing, Brian is hiding. And then the commenters that we've had saying, no, he's not hiding, he's on the run. So the aspect that the chatter out there that he is on the run, again, he hasn't been charged with a crime. Now he's on the run. You could make the argument that he is on the run from the media circus and from law enforcement and from just trying to escape this nightmare that he has found himself in. However, run. To some people, run means that he is eluding police because he's wanted for a crime. And I want to make that perfectly clear for our audience. He's not wanted for a crime. He's a missing persons case. So some people have been saying he's been eluding police or eluding others to try to get away. And there's all these different phrases and different ways that you can say it. But Gabby Petito's family, through their attorney, says that Brian is hiding. And that's the word. But to the next part of Michelle's comment here, Michelle thinks that if he's caught, or if he's found, rather, that he will most likely speak. All right, so then, Michelle, thank you, because this gets us to the next jumping off point here. Use hashtag HAB and tell me if Brian Laundrie is found alive, do you think he'll talk? Do you think that he's going to talk? Or is he going to say, oh, I'm remaining silent. Thanks for finding me. I got lost in the woods, hiking, you know how it gets. Will he invoke his constitutional right to remain silent if he's found? Or is he going to say, is the weight of the world knowing his name and following his story going to come down on him? And is he going to finally want to speak to police? Tell me here in the Facebook Live comment section. We'll continue to. Again, we're awaiting Eagle 8 HD. I can even show you. This is the freeze frame that we're on right now. This was right before Eagle landed to refuel. We'll throw this back up when Eagle is back in the air over Sarasota County and being part of the search efforts for Brian Laundrie in the hope of finding Gabby Petito. Back here with you live. Vicky Stevens, #KJB, has to be guilty, or why hide and not help look for Gabby? I'm throwing this comment up here. We're not going to spend too much time on this comment, but I just want this. Vicky's comment here this has repeatedly been in the comment section that people, again, not us reporting this, people in the comment section, people on social media, feeling that Brian Laundrie has to be part of this more. Otherwise, he wouldn't be hiding and not assisting in the search for Gabby. If you really love this woman and you're engaged to this woman, you are her fiance, why are you nowhere to be found rather than being out there searching for her, is what Vicky and many other commenters have been saying. Andrea Lane, #KJB, sadly, he's probably the only one who can find her, but obviously he is not willing to do so. Another very popular comment. Andrea, thanks for commenting along here. Mary, is that Marianne? Or Marilyn? No, that's Marilyn. Excuse me. #KJB, yes. But at the same time, he's not talking. Hypothetically, even if he's charged with a crime, he has the right to remain silent and may never speak. Yes, and this, again, was exactly what we were just talking about here a moment ago. Caitlin Ashton, #KJB, yes, the only way to find her is through him or his parents if he told them what happened. It's another big part of the investigation. What does Brian's parents know? What does Brian's parents know? We don't know. Clearly, obviously, we don't know. But that's also a big part of the story. Did Brian confide information and share information with his parents? Did he tell them something that happened? And do they know information pertaining to Gabby's whereabouts? Clint Haynes, #KJB, he pretty much stole her van. Why didn't they bring him in for that? We talked about this. Florida police, Northport police say that even though the van was in her name, and even though he drove the van in her name without her from Wyoming, Utah, that area of the country back to Florida, we asked that specifically on Thursday, can you charge him for that? And Florida police, Northport police said, no, there's not enough to charge him for that. That's where we are with that. But Clint, thank you for asking that question, because that's been on the minds of many here. All right, folks, I'm going to step away here for just a moment. Give this voice here a bit of a break. I am not unaware of the comments that have been coming in. Somebody, and I have no problem making fun of myself here a little bit. Somebody saying JB went back in time and is back in his puberty years with his voice. Again, as a reminder, I'm not sick. I'm not here. Reporting here for you today and being here with you live on WFLA Now. Sick. It's because it's a hoarse voice from a lot of long days and a lot of many long hours of streaming on this story. And but I wanted to be here, folks, and be part of Eagle 8 HD in particular. Anytime that Eagle 8 HD is part of our coverage, I want to be here because I really, most importantly, I really enjoy working with Paul Lamison. He's one of my favorite people here at WFLA. He's our longtime chief photographer, and he is the voice that you hear when Eagle 8 HD is in the air. Eagle right now, there's the ground shot, or the shot right before they landed. They are refueling and going back up here. I'm gonna take about let's say a 2 to 3 minute break to give my voice a bit of a rest here. And I think that hopefully by the time we're back here in just a few minutes, we'll have Paul back in the air, and Paul can provide us with the latest on the search efforts there in Myakkahatchee. So that's coming your way here next. In the meantime, as we await Eagle 8 HD getting back in the air and resuming search efforts here's what I would like for you to do so that we can continue featuring your comments here. The next question that we are going to ask The first question that we asked was, do you feel that the only way to find Gabby is to find Brian first? Let's retire that and now pose this second question to our audience here. You can use hashtag HeyJB, and again, we can animate your comments here on screen. And I'm monitoring all the Facebook and Twitter and YouTube comments that are coming in. Use hashtag HeyJB, and we'll get your comments going here on screen. The next question that I want to ask is, if Brian Laundrie is found alive, do you think that he will speak, or do you think that he will continue to invoke his constitutional right to remain silent? Now, any attorney who knows anything about the law will tell you that if it was his client, he would try to get a hold of his client immediately and say, don't talk. You don't have to. Anything that you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney, that's me, to tell you that you do not have to speak. So with the attorney part of the equation, if the attorney called up Brian and said, Brian, you've just been found, don't talk, I get that. But let's just take that part of the, if police find Brian at some point, let's say today, I'll just say today, do you think that he talks, or do you think that he continues to remain silent? Use hashtag HeyJB in the Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter comment section here. We'll come back in a few minutes. Hopefully we're closer to getting Eagle back in the air, and we'll feature some of your responses to that question coming up here next here on WFLA Now. And as a reminder, the latest on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. We'll be back in about 3 to 4 minutes.
Streaming live on WFLA Now. Powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY. Here's JB Buno.
The search for Gabby Petito, the search for Brian Laundrie, ongoing this Sunday, September 19th. Here in Florida, authorities fanning out here in a wooded area of Sarasota County, hoping to find Brian Laundrie and hoping that it brings them closer to finding Gabby Petito. Hey there, everybody. JB Buno here with you live on WFLA Now, continuing to engage our audience on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, a lot of different places that we're live right now. As a reminder, you can click on the link in the description on this video. It'll take you over to WFLA.com, the WFLA app. That's where our hub lives. It's a hub of articles. Everything that we know about the search for Gabby Petito lives there. You can also download the WFLA app. It'll, of course, send you push alerts if you subscribe for them. It'll send you push alerts to your phone so that if something develops in this case, you're the first to know about it, because we're going to send out that push alert, of course, the moment that we get an update, a significant update, as well as we send out push alerts for the moment that we go live here on WFLA Now, where we feature your comments here out of the Facebook Live comment section. You can use hashtag HJB. And a moment ago, if you're just joining us, a moment ago, we asked you some questions, and the most recent question that we asked to our audience here joining us, and again, you see the hashtag HeyJB here underneath my name. You can use it to get my attention here in the Facebook Live comment section, or YouTube comment section, or in the replies on Twitter. We asked you if Brian Laundrie was found. Again, pretending. Hope. That's more of a sound of hope. Pretending here that Brian Laundrie is found today out in that wooded area of Sarasota County. We asked you, if he's found, will he speak? Do you think he'll speak? Will he continue to invoke his constitutional right to remain silent? Or will he finally, for the first time, speak to law enforcement by volunteering to do so? He doesn't have to speak to law enforcement. He's not charged with a crime. He's a missing person. But the entire world wants to know his story, and his story could lead us closer to Gabby Petito's whereabouts. So, will he speak voluntarily, or will he say, I'm invoking my constitutional right to remain silent, please take me home? We'll get to your questions and comments coming in here in the Facebook Live comment section here as well. Use hashtag HJB. We'll feature your comments here. We're going to start with this one here from Kiki Willis. Hashtag HJB. Where is the live coverage of the search for Gabby? So we don't have access to feeds right now in Utah and Wyoming to show you what's going on in Utah and Wyoming. And we don't have Eagle 8 HD live for you right now. And I was just informed here a short time ago that it is not due to refueling. Inclement weather has arrived there in Sarasota. And let's just talk about that for a second, because conditions, while they're not terrible as we understand it, and maybe I can bring up Max Fender 8. Let's see if we can do that here. Max Fender 8 is our radar here in Florida. That up? No. Well, hold on. I might be able to bring it up here. Might be able to bring up our radar here on screen. In a moment. But inclement weather, point being, inclement weather has reached Sarasota. That has inhibited our ability to fly for safety reasons. And inclement weather is not what you want. Inclement weather can impede search efforts, can make it harder for it. Right now, with the area that we are talking about, it's hard enough as it is to find a needle in a haystack, to find one person there in Myakkahatchee. It's extreme. Now you're dealing with rain coming through potentially. That makes things really difficult. So Eagle 8 HD, I'm just telling folks, if you're looking for Eagle 8 HD's live coverage of the search for Brian Laundrie in Myakkahatchee, we don't have that. Eagle has headed back to Tampa, unfortunately due to inclement weather, and will no longer be part of our coverage over the next hour or so. Might change later on today, this evening, but I want to be very upfront and honest with our viewers here. So if you're sticking around, it's for the conversation. And we'll be here live with you for another 15 to 20 minutes, probably live till about 1 o'clock Eastern time. And we'll continue to take your questions here in the Facebook Live comment section. So, Kiki, thank you for asking. The live coverage of Gabby. Search is there. I don't have access to feeds right now. Otherwise, of course, I would bring them up. touch of a touchscreen here. I could bring them up, but I don't have any access to those feeds here at this time. And the search for Brian is ongoing. It hasn't ceased. They haven't shut down. Of course, they're still combing through that wooded area of Sarasota County, but we don't have aerials to show you right now simply because of inclement weather. All right, so to the question that we asked. The question that we asked here a short time ago, and wow, a lot more comments are coming in. They're flooding in here. Hey, YouTube. Hey, Twitter. Hey, Facebook. So the question that we asked was, if Brian is found today, will he speak? Now, his attorney would be punching the phone to try to get a hold of him to advise him to not speak. Any attorney representing their client would tell them that. You can't be mad at the attorney for trying to say, hey, you have a constitutional right to remain silent. And even though you're in a missing person situation, you still have the right, because you're not being charged with it. Regardless, you have the right. You have the right to remain silent. So remember that. Even though you are the subject of an enormous search right now, if they pick you up, you don't have to speak in that cop car. So will he speak voluntarily is the question that we asked. And we're going to start here with Alexander Baldwin. #KJB. Hey, Alexander, thanks for joining us. I think he won't talk, even though that would make him even more of an abhorrent person than he already is. Alexander Baldwin saying, I think that he won't talk here. Valerie Hamilton, #KJB. I'm worried that they won't be able to find Brian so he can answer questions. He could be in another country. Don't know that I trust his parents to tell the truth. I hope they're not searching at this park for nothing. Lots of manpower. Could he be in another country? That would be a major development if he was in another country. I mean, in theory, legally, could he be in another country? Sure, he's a free man. He can travel to another country, but they don't believe he's in another country. They believe that he grabbed his hiking gear and he's out there on foot. Let's get to this one here from Leslie. #JB, he will not speak. He didn't before, so that's why he's hiding. Leslie, thanks for your comment. Chloe Larson here, #KJB. I think that if he gets found in that massively vast area where anything can go missing, that he may well think twice about talking about Gabby. This is because if they can find him there as a missing person, they can find him anywhere when it's more aggressively to charge. So to sum up Chloe's comment, thank you for this comment, Chloe. If Brian is found, what Chloe's saying is Brian is found, he's thinking in his brain, wow, I'm never going to be able to escape this. I have to talk now because there's nothing I can do to outrun, not just law enforcement, but outrun this shadow that is going to be following me now forever, over me having potentially information on where Gabby is and what happened to Gabby. And it just always gonna follow me. I'm always gonna have to look over my shoulder, watch my back, and live knowing that people want my side of the story and want to hear from me. And remaining silent is, it's your constitutional right, but it's not necessarily all that easy when the entire world and the weight of the world wants you to just say, forget the attorney, tell us what happened out there in Utah and Wyoming and on the road. Chloe, thanks for your comment here. A few more comments here again for those of you just joining us, looking for Eagle 8 HD's aerial coverage of the search efforts for Brian Laundrie. Eagle had to depart for inclement weather. Let's get to Deb Hudler, #KJB. I feel it will depend on whether his conscience or his lawyer wins out. What is Brian Laundrie's conscience telling him? Now, your conscience tells you, Jiminy Cricket tells you to always do the right thing. And sometimes doing the right thing is doing the hardest thing. Usually it is. The easy route sometimes can be the wrong route. And oftentimes, the right thing to do is the hardest. So, Deb here, I like the way that Deb phrased this comment. Will his conscience win out if he's found? Or will his lawyer win out? And don't Stephen Bertolino, the attorney who represents Brian Laundrie, you cannot fault the attorney for providing Brian with the same legal advice that any attorney in the country would for their client. Remain silent. And again, I'll read this statement here from the attorney. This is before Brian was confirmed to be missing. Many people are wondering why Mr. Laundrie would not make a statement or speak with law enforcement in the face of Ms. Petito's absence. In my experience, intimate partners are often the first person law enforcement focuses their attention on in cases like this, and the warning that any statement made will be used against you is true, regardless of whether my client had anything to do with Ms. Petito's disappearance. As such, on the advice of counsel, Mr. Laundrie is not speaking on this matter. That was from several days ago before Brian Laundrie was confirmed to be missing. And that, again, from Stephen Bertolino, his attorney, who has confirmed, of course, to media outlets that they don't know where their client is. But again, the attorney here, don't hold too much against the attorney for providing the same legal advice and really for just telling him that he can exercise his rights as an American citizen. But it's up to Brian. In the end, it's his decision on whether or not to listen to, and that's why I like this comment, to listen to his lawyer or to listen to his conscience. Now, we don't know what his conscience would tell him. Everyone's conscience is different. Everyone's moral compass points north in a way. Some moral compasses don't point north, and some point 100% true north. And where does the compass, his moral compass right now, is it true north, and does he feel compelled to tell the story, or is it pointing east, west, south, where he is conflicted because he's looking out for his own well-being and he wants to continue to remain silent. He wants to heed the advice of his attorneys. Now, listen, this is a dangerous conversation for me to be having with you because that is under the assumption that he's guilty of a crime. And it's really important for me to catch myself in a moment like that because there is still a chance here, folks. You don't want to hear it. But I have to be rooted in reality here, and we have to stick to the facts. Brian Laundrie hasn't been charged with a crime, and there's a chance that he didn't commit a crime. Now people are thinking, "Come on, JB, really?" But there's a scenario: Brian innocent until proven guilty, folks. There's a scenario here where Brian, this has all been a grave misunderstanding. Gabby's found alive. Brian's on a hiking trip, just trying to I don't know. And he's never charged with a crime because he never committed one in the first place. That is in the realm of possible. And people think, that's crazy talk, but it's fact. Because there's so much unknown, the realm of possible is enormous. It's huge. And that is still, of course, a scenario here. So while the comments here are going to be like, JB, you're crazy, but let's stay rooted in reality here. Innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to remain silent. Brian Laundrie hasn't been charged with a crime. He is a missing person. There is no factual evidence. There's no evidence whatsoever that he had something directly to do with something sinister that happened to Gabby Petito. It's frustrating, but that's the facts of the case right now. And that's where we are. So, Deb, will his conscience or his lawyer win out? That's a great question. Another 10 minutes here with you live. Michelle Marie, #HeyJB. If found alive, I do not believe he will speak. The only way I see him speaking is if he's having a mental health episode and unable to refrain himself, or he is found dead and left Gabby's location in a note. This is the first comment where we've brought up that scenario here. Listen, the hope is that Brian Laundrie is found alive. I know that a lot of commenters here have been theorizing that the opposite is going to happen as far as his condition when he's found. I know that. I see your comments here, folks. But right now, Brian Laundrie is believed to be alive. He's believed to be out there, and they're searching for him. So let's keep that in mind. But to Michelle's first part of the comment here, #HeyJB, if found alive, I do not believe he will speak. Thanks, Michelle, for your comment here. A few more here. As we get closer to the top of the hour here, again, for those of you just joining us, this hoarse voice anchor here is telling you that Eagle 8 HD had to leave the search area for Brian Laundrie due to inclement weather. That's why you're not seeing it here on the right side of your screen. I'm just going to read a few more comments and questions here while we're here live with you on WFLA Now. Betty Reardon Cunningham, #KJB. I don't think he will talk. I believe he is building a mentally ill case as we speak. His lawyer is no dummy. He knows exactly how to build this case. He will claim, and I think Betty might have, sometimes you accidentally hit that enter button on your keyboard and you meant to keep typing. I think that's what happened to Betty here. And Betty, this is the second comment now in a row we've talked about. Well, let's just say this. Brian Laundrie's mental state has been a subject of conversation right now. If he, again, leaving the house on Tuesday with hiking gear, what is he thinking? And how mentally there is he? Got the entire world looking for him. Everyone knows his name. And a lot of folks that know his name think that he did something bad, really bad. Now, again, no factual evidence that points to that. But a lot of people think that he did something terrible. And with the weight of that knowledge on his mind, what is his mental state like? So that's a component here. Now, we're way too early in this to talk about then how that factors in legally. But that's something that is going to be discussed is Brian, if he were to speak, how mentally capable is he of giving reliable information? We don't know. First and foremost, you have to find Brian. That's first. You got to find Brian. And police are doing everything that they can to find him. But that's where we are right now. But I would be not doing my job if I didn't stress to you that I am seeing a lot of comments pertaining to Brian Laundrie's mental state. Josie Reynolds, #KJB, I think he's going to remain silent as long as he is only a person of interest. You said earlier that even if he's found today, he still wouldn't be charged with anything and would most likely be taken home. I hope that this is not the case. Josie, thank you for watching here. You've clearly been watching for some time here. If you're talking about something I was talking about half an hour or so ago. But yes, the facts of the matter are this. I asked Josh Taylor, the spokesperson for Northport Police, if you find Brian, what next? Then what? And Josh said, he's a missing persons case. We just take him back to his parents. Now, again, if he's 23 years old, if he says, I'm not missing, I'm just enjoying a hiking trip, nothing to see here, he can continue hiking. But if he took the trip home, yeah, he can't. Regardless, if they find him right now, let's again pretend, if right at this very second, police go, I see something, and there he is in the woods, and they come across him, they can't invent a crime to charge him with. Is there any scenario where they find something to charge? I mean, sure, but I mean, he's got to commit a crime to be charged with a crime, or there's got to be evidence that he committed a crime for him, and right now there's no evidence. So that's where we are. Josie, adding there at the end, I hope that this is not the case. Leah here, #KJB. No, he won't speak. No body, no crime. The search for Gabby continues, and the Petito family is hoping that she is found alive. But Leah here has said something here that I've seen many times here in our comment section. No body, no crime. There needs to be evidence that a crime was committed for Brian to be charged and taken in, and then he could be compelled to speak. Because once you have the district attorney's office involved, and they're saying, Brian, again, this is major hypothetical here, but and this goes for all cases. once somebody is charged with a crime, the district attorney can then get involved and try to use tactics necessary. Police and the district attorney's office can use tactics to compel him to try to speak, which includes, of course, a plea deal. That's how this works. I'm not speaking for Brian Laundrie here, the Brian Laundrie story, or the Gabby Petito story. I'm speaking here just in general. That if somebody has invoked their right to remain silent based on the strength of the evidence that they have, they can then, of course, once he's in the building and he's charged with a crime, there are more options. Right now, there are a few options. The only thing right now on the table, first and foremost, is just to find Brian, and then it can progress from there. But even if so, to Leah's point here, you need evidence to charge him with a crime. So right now, there's no evidence to link him to a crime that has been committed. And if Gabby is still out there alive and pops up tonight somewhere in Utah or Wyoming and says, oh my God, I found this cabin in the woods and I was scared to leave this cabin. This is the only place I felt safe. I've been wandering for days now, and this is the only place where I feel like it was safe. And she's found in a random cabin in the woods. Then what? Even further evidence that there was no crime committed because you have Gabby found alive. But to Leah's comment here, it gets into this comment here just, again, speaks to the fact that there's no evidence here to charge Brian Laundrie at this time. Tiffany Brunson, hey there, Tiffany, #HJB, no, I don't think he will speak without his lawyer. He's just going to drag it out longer. He needs to realize those police and FBI are working long hours and not being able to spend time with their family. Good point. He needs to stop being selfish. His parents, too, is the comment here from Tiffany Brunson. I want to focus here in the middle section of Tiffany's comment. Tiffany, thank you for commenting here with us. I want to focus on the middle portion here of this comment where she says he needs to realize those police and FBI are working long hours and not being able to spend time with their family. Let's talk about law enforcement. We were on not last night, 2 nights ago, on Friday night, and there were so many, and it's progressed into the weekend. The amount of critical comments towards law enforcement in Florida is palpable. It's considerable, and the results aren't there right now because Gabby's missing and Brian is missing, and this story isn't. We're not any closer to finding Gabby based on where we are right now. There haven't been developments that lead us to thinking we're getting close here. And the results certainly elude us still. That doesn't tell the full story, though, as far as law enforcement. They're doing what they can. Northport Police, FBI, they're working insane hours. They're working around the clock. They're doing everything that they can. Northport Police, there's some extremely hardworking men and women. What Josh said the other night was they're working their butts off. And they're doing what they can. And the whole world is scrutinizing the efforts by law enforcement, but let's just keep in mind that they're working hard. So I just want to take a moment here as we wrap up here, just to point out that law enforcement they're working hard, and I'm still confident in Florida law enforcement. I am a big believer in them, and I believe that they're gonna reach developments here in this case here that we can then share with you. I believe in Florida law enforcement, and I think you should too. We work with law enforcement here in the Tampa Bay area, and these are people that are sworn to protect us, and they are working around the clock to find Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito. So I want to end out here by saying a big shout out to those that are working this case, people that are working and as our commenter Tiffany noted, being away from their families. Kickoff right now for football. All the great football games that are on TV for all the football fans that are out there. While you're watching football with your family and eating nachos and having popcorn and talking about life and relaxing with your family, there are members of the Northport Police Department, many of them, almost all of them, that are in a wooded area right now, stepping through mud, combing through branches, having rain pour down on them because we saw on radar that there was inclement weather heading that way. While you're watching football, they're busting their butts around the clock to look for Brian Laundrie. And let's all keep things into perspective here that they're doing everything that they can to find Brian Laundrie, and then hopefully that gets us closer to finding Gabby Petito. The very latest for you folks on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. For those of you joining us on one of our sister stations' Facebook pages, welcome. And thank you for watching. You can click on the link in the description on this video and in the pinned comment below. It'll take you over to it might take you to WFLA.com. It might take you to your respective television station's website where you can read more on this story. Now, we also have a hub on WFLA.com with all of our article content as well. And if there's any developments in the case, we'll let you know. I'd like to thank our audience members. If you've been watching here, we've been live for coming up now on 2 hours. If you've been putting up with my raspy voice, a big thank you to there were some really extremely kind comments that came in that I didn't animate on screen because I wanted to keep the subject matter focused to Gabby and on the search for Gabby and Brian. That means a lot to me. Thank you. And I really appreciate all the sincere comments that came my way. But let's keep this focused on Gabby. Let's keep this focused on the search for Brian and the hope that Gabby is found alive. And let's continue to maintain hope out there, folks. So to all the commenters here, again, just a hoarse voice from a lot of online coverage, not because I'm sick or anything like that. So if something happens in the hours ahead, I'm back here live on the mic, and we're back here to provide you with interactive streaming coverage here on the new developments here in this story. But all of it lives on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. You can sign up for push alerts there on the WFLA app so that when we go live, you know about it. When there's a development in the case, you know about it. When there's breaking news in Florida, you know about it. It's also on WFLA.com. I'd like to thank Paul Lamison, Christine McLarty, Evan Donovan for joining us here. More ahead in the hours ahead, and all on the latest on the search for Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie on WFLA.com and the WFLA app.